friends of Edward, Gordon, Henry, and Thomas. Thank you for your kind letters. Here is the new book which you asked for. James, who had crashed in the story of Thomas the Tank Engine, settles down and becomes a really useful engine. We are nationalized now, but the same engines still work in the region. I am glad, too, to tell you that the Fat Director, who understands our friend's ways, is still in charge, but now it's the Fat Controller. I hope you will enjoy this book, too. The Author.
James and the Top Hat.
James was new on the island of Sodor. He lives at the station at the end of the line. He had 2 small wheels in front, and 6 driving wheels who were not as big as Gordon's, but not as small as Thomas's. The Fat Controller once told him, "You're a really splendid front engine, James, which means you can pull coaches and freight cars quite easily, but you must learn by your mistakes." James knew what the Fat Controller meant. He could well remember that dreadful accident on his first day. James was sick after the accident, so to cheer him up, the Fat Controller gave James a coat of red paint. He told James to help out with the coaches with Edward. James and pushed the coaches into the station. "Careful with the coaches, James," said kind little Edward. "They don't like being bumped." "The only rolling stock you can bump, James, are trucks. They needed to be bumped 'cause they're trouble." Everyone came to admire James. "I'm a really splendid red engine," he said, and suddenly let off steam. Whee! A shower of water fell on Sir Tom Hat's nice new top hat. James and Edward coupled themselves up to the coaches, and then, when they heard the guards whistle, they started off. Go on, Edward," called James. Edward didn't like to start quickly. Don't push. The coaches were grumbling too. Don't make such a fuss! Don't make such a fuss! Don't make such a fuss! Grumbled the coaches. James wanted to run away before the Fat Controller could call him back. James was so frightened that he didn't stop at the first station with Edward. They have to go back to let the passengers off. No one seemed to make a big deal about the Fat Controller's new hat, so James felt happier. Next, they went to the junction where Thomas was waiting. "Hello, James," said Thomas. "Feeling better? That's good." "Oh, that's my conductor's whistle. I better go now. Bye." "Hello, Edward." Thomas was gone because you went into a tunnel. The 2 engines, Edward and James, puffed through the countryside. They passed the field where James had his accident. The fence was mended and the cows were back. James whistled to the cows, but the cows didn't reply. James and Edward went by Edward's station and climbed over hills and over bridges. They rested at the next station before going home. And while they were resting, Edward told James about the time when Gordon got stuck on a hill, and Edward had to push him up. James laughed so hard that he got hiccups. He laughed and hiccuped so much that an old lady dropped her bonnet and was frightened. That night, James was quiet in the shed and wondered what Sir Topham Hatt would say about his new hat.
Somebody has to be the favorite, the one that everybody wants to see.
Somebody has to be so good that they're the best. Somebody has to be the favorite. Somebody has to be me. Here's James. James and the bootlace.
The next morning, Sir Thomas spoke furiously to James. If you can't behave, I shall take away your red coat and have you painted blue. James didn't like that at all. He was very rough with the coaches as he brought them to the platform. Don't talk, come on! Gordon never had to fetch his own coaches, and he's only painted blue. James went right round and back toward the coaches ready to start. And to make James even more cross, no one came near him. I'll show that big blue A1 Pacific. I'll show him. I'll show him. Come on, you lot. Keep up. Keep up. James went out on the open line, passing fields. You're going too fast! You're going too fast! Grumbled the coaches. But James didn't care. No! We're going to stop! We're going to stop! Grumbled the coaches. And James screeched to a halt. Ugh! What now? James was worried. What happened? Asked James. The brakes are hard on. You banged the coaches enough to make a leak in anything. The crew found a hole in the brake pipe. All because of James's rough treatment. How would they mend it, you ask? They suggest a newspaper and a bootlace. But where did the bootlaces come from? Asked the crew. We'll ask the passengers. So everyone got out, and the crew asked everyone for a bootlace. Neither of them had one, except for one named Jeremiah Jobbing. You have a leather bootlace there, said the conductor. Please give it to me.
No. I won't,
he said. Then I'm afraid the train will stop where it is. Everyone said what a bad railway it was, and then they told Jeremiah Jobling how bad he was instead. At last he gave up, and the newspaper and the bootlace were tied to the hole in the brake pipe. James began to leave with the passengers. But James was a sadder and wiser James, and he knows now never to bump coaches ever again.
troublesome trucks.
James didn't see the back controller or the whole railway for several days. He was feeling miserable. Oh dear! I wonder how long I shall have to stay in the shed. Will anyone see my red coat again? Why did I go so fast? I am so rude that I made a hole in one of my coaches. It has to be mended with, of all things, a passenger's bootlace. Some tears spilled out of James's eyes. Sir Thomas came to see James. I know you are sorry, he said. And now you know now that every piece of rolling stock of mine is important. People were laughing at my railway, and I do not like that at all. So you shall have another chance. Oh, thank you, sir. That's a good engine. I want you to pull some trucks today. Thank you, sir. I will, sir. And James puffed off. Later, he saw a little tank engine that represents Thomas. Here's your freight train, James. Do you have any bootlaces ready? And the engine ran off, leaving James red with anger. James backed up and bumped into the cars. Ow! 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 They screamed. We want a proper engine, not a red monster! James took notice, and he puffed up, pulling the trucks. Come along! Come along! Come along! Shh! Come along! Shh! He puffed. No! We won't! We won't! Screamed the trucks. Later, they saw Gordon's hill up ahead. I can and I will, and I can and I will, and I can and I will, puffed James, as he climbed the hill, determined not to let the trucks beat him. Look out for trouble, James, said his driver. We'll get those trucks before we know it. I told it. Will the top never come? Then, with a certain jerk, it all came easier. Oh, we done it! We done it! Hooray! It's easy now! But the driver shut off steam. They've done it again. We left our tail behind. Look, the last few cars were rolling backwards down the hill. A coupling was broken. The truck stopped just in time as Edward was popping out. He screeched to a stop. Where did those trucks come from? That's why it was easy, said James as he puffed backwards down the hill and buffered up to the trucks that were loose. Shall I help you, James? Asked Edward. No, Edward. I'll do it myself. All right, but don't let those trucks beat you up. Off went James as he puffed back up the hill. It was hard work pulling all those trucks up Gordon's hill. I think I can, groaned James. Edward whistled after him. You're doing great, James. You're doing great. Clouds of smoke and steam billowed from James as he puffed all the way up the hill. I can do it! I've done it! He panted as he went up the hill and went down again. Yee-haw, partner! He went to the station safely, and he dropped off the trucks and went into a siding. Woo! All that hard work is making me thirsty. I'll get a drink. James got a sip of water, and then Edward came along. There on board was Sir Topham Hatt. Oh dear, what will he say? James thought. But Sir Topham Hatt was smiling. I was on Edward's train and I saw everything. You made the most troublesome trucks on the line behave. And for that, you will surely keep your red coat.
James and the Express.
Sometimes Henry and Gordon sleep in James's shed. Whenever a chance came, they would talk nothing of bootlaces. Remember when they got a bootlace to get you out of trouble, James? James tried to get back at them by teasing them about the time when Henry got shut up in a tunnel and Gordon who got stuck on a hill. But they would not listen to a thing James says.
You talk too much, little James,
said Gordon.
A fine, strong engine like me has something to talk about. I'm the only engine who can pull the Express. When I'm not there, they need 2 engines. Think of that. I've pulled expresses for years and have never once lost my way. I seem to know the right line by instinct.
Every wise engine knows that a signal sets the switch to make the engines go on the right track. But the next morning, Gordon forgotten.
Wake up, James.
He said,
It's nearly time for the express. What are you doing? Odd jobs? Oh, well, we all have to begin somewhere, don't we? Run along now and get my coaches. Don't be late.
James went to the station to fetch Gordon's coaches. He brought them to the platform, and the coaches were excited. We're going away! We're going away! We're going away! I wish I could go with you, said James. It would be nice if I just stretch my wheels and go flying along the line. Then Gordon went back onto the train. Then Gordon started off.
Look at me now. Look at me now.
Gordon puffed as the coaches rattled behind him.
Poop, 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 poop. Goodbye, little James. See you tomorrow.
James watched the express disappear and went to shut his own coaches ready for his train. He had just finished when he heard a mournful noise. There was Gordon trying to sneak his way to the station. Oh, hello, Gordon. Is it tomorrow already? Gordon didn't answer. He just wheezed steam feebly. Did you lose your way, Gordon?
No, it was lost for me. I was switched off the main line onto the loop. I had to go all round and back again.
Perhaps it was instinct, said James. The passengers were furious. We want our money back! They screamed and hollered to the ticketmaster. So Top Hat climbed onto a trolley and blew his whistle so loudly that everyone stopped. Quiet, everyone, please. I will find a new train. Maybe James would do it. Gordon can't do it. Will you pull it for us, James? Oh, sir, yes, sir. That's a good engine. Hurry along now. So everyone climbed back in. Give it your best shot, James, said the Fat Controller. As soon as he heard the guard's whistle, James puffed off. Stations and bridges passed by James. The passengers cheered, and James didn't stop until they reached the next station. Everyone said thank you to James.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James.
And the Fat Controller praised James. Well done, James. Would you like to pull the express sometime? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. The next day, James came back. Gordon was shunting trucks.
I like some quiet work for a change.
He said,
I'm teaching these trucks manners. You did well with those coaches, I hear. Good, we'll show them.
and he gave his trucks a bump. James and Gordon are now good friends. James pulls the express when Gordon's not available or he's doing a job, and to give Gordon a rest. And James is very good at it that he was Sodor's secondary express puller. Gordon never talks about bootlaces ever again, and James never talked about getting stuck on hills. But they talk about trucks and how fun they go, oh, 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 oof, 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 oof.
Moments like this make you feel like bursting into song. Somebody has to be the favorite, the one that everybody wants to see. James, somebody has to be better than the rest. Somebody has to be so good that they're the best. Somebody has to be the favorite. Somebody has to be me. Sometimes you have to blow the whistle to let the other engines know you're near. Sometimes you have to make a racket and to shout in order to ensure that they're not left in any doubt. Somebody has to be the favourite. Say hello, the favourite is here. Hello, James. Somebody has to be the favourite. That's just the way it is, you must agree. Some get to see the world and travel far away, while other engines have a place they always have to stay. Somebody has to be the favourite. Somebody has to be me. Somebody